welcome everybody. Special welcome to our dear baccalaureate candidates. I have prepared a new TV lesson for you. My name is Munir Mili. I am a senior teacher at Qsibt Madouni Secondary School in the region of Monastir. And my lesson was prepared under the pedagogical supervision of Mrs. Camelia Defella, English language inspector in the region of Monastir. Well, it's a lesson from Unit 4, Life Issues. The lesson is entitled Attitudes. The terminal objective of our lesson is to write a report about the decline of moral values. We will be able to do that, provided that we pass through the following stages. We start by discriminating between vices and virtues. Then we are going to read together some very short inspirational stories and identify the moral lessons or we draw from them or the attitudes expressed. And then we will pass to recycling the subjunctive and practicing it. Well, we are going to start with defining some key words related to the topic of attitudes. Our task is to complete the dots in order to get the right words. Each dot stands for one letter, of course. We start by defining an attitude. An attitude is someone's opinions or feelings. You can see that these are intangible things, and they are going to be reflected in reality. So someone's opinions or feelings about something or someone, especially shown by their behavior. People primarily form their attitudes from underlying or existing values and beliefs. However, some factors can influence a person's attitude, of course. Regardless of the goals or rules one should have, and what type of attitude, an ethical one, of course, an ethical attitude and conduct. Let's complete with the right word from the list below. Appropriate, guide, ethical, prohibited, principles, rules, set, behavior, and wrong. Ethics, we are going to define what ethics are. They are the moral. Now, when you work on such tasks, especially in language, you have to ask yourself some questions. You say, in this specific blank, what do we need? What type of word is needed? Remember, the order of words in the English sentence is, if we have an adjective like moral, the word after has to be noun. So ethics are the moral. Then, if you say, if I need a noun, you need to ask yourself, is my noun in the singular or in the plural form? And you look for a clue. The clue here to help you know that it is a plural noun is the verb form. We don't have controls, we have control, so we need a plural noun. Remember that when you work on your language tasks, of course. We repeat, ethics are the moral principles that control or influence a person's behavior. It refers to well-founded standards of right, and remember there is a kind of parallelism in English sentences. there is music, there is rhythm. So focus on the word and. Remember that what comes before and after has to be mainly the same type of word, the same tense, the same form, etc. Here we have right. What contrasts with right is wrong, of course. Standards of right and wrong that prescribe what humans ought to do. What is, look at the end of the sentence, we have not ethical, so we need what is ethical and what is not ethical. A code of ethics refers to the set or to the group of values and the principles that, or which, so we need a verb here, which guide our behavior. A code of conduct outlines a specific adjective, so we need a noun, a specific set or group of expectations about behaviors that are required, and we need something that contrasts with required, or in other cases, prohibited, forbidden. It asserts that some specific attitudes are, look at the end of the sentence, we have inappropriate, so they are appropriate or inappropriate. Let's look at the following cartoons and complete the sentence below. There is a man, a human being, and to the right and to the left we have an angel. You know what an angel is a symbol of. It's, of course, a symbol of good. And the devil, which represents evil. Look, they are having a fight. So, life, human life, the whole life, is a perpetual, an everlasting, a non-stop battle between good and evil. Good represented by the angel and evil by the devil. Life, then, is a battle between what is ethical and what is unethical, what's moral and what's immoral, between appropriate deeds or behavior and inappropriate ones, a battle between what is permitted and what is prohibited, between what's good, what's positive, and what's negative in our life, what's good and what's bad, and what's right and what's wrong. You see, these are all antonyms. It is a battle between vice and virtue. Virtue is positive, vice is negative, of course. Here's a list of vices and virtues. We are going to circle the good values, the virtues, and to cross the bad ones, the vices. We start with ambition. Of course, it is a virtue. Arrogance, that's to say considering oneself superior to others, looking down on others, it's of course a vice. Jealousy is a vice. Tolerance, accepting differences in religion, in race, in opinions, that's a virtue. Charity is a virtue. No need to say that self-confidence is a good value to adopt in your life. Cowardice, being afraid, not being courageous, that's a vice. Infidelity, not being faithful, vice. Pity is a virtue. Patriotism, loving one's country, sacrificing oneself even for one's country, that's a positive attitude. Trust is a virtue. Fanaticism is extremism. It is manifested especially in religion. It's when you are ready, because of religious differences, to kill or to aggress someone else. It's also in sport, and nowadays It's in politics also. Fanaticism is to avoid. It's a negative attitude. Hypocrisy, living with a double face, is a bad attitude. Honesty is a virtue. Hostility is bad. Selfishness, too. Cleanliness, especially in these days, is a good attitude to adopt. Keep clean, please, to avoid contamination. Generosity, of course, it's a virtue. Perseverance, never stopping until you get to your target. Bravery, being courageous. Wisdom, the quality of being wise, is a virtue. Solidarity is a virtue. Envy, wanting to have what other people have, wanting to be in their situation, in their shoes, it's something bad, of course. Gratitude, saying thank you. Adultery is a negative attitude. You may wonder what adultery is. It's what happens, or how we describe when someone is married and they have an extramarital relationship. They have an affair with another partner. That is a vice, of course. Greed, never being full, even wanting more than we have. It's a vice, of course. Indifference is a vice, and courage is, of course, a virtue. Next, we are going to take a little quiz. You are going to test how ethical you are. Please answer the questions sincerely. Don't lie to yourself. Okay, for each answer with yes to questions 1 through 5, you count plus 1 point. For each answer with yes to questions 6 to 10, minus 1 point. In the end, you must have a positive total. Otherwise, I wouldn't say whether you are ethical or not. Would you do the following? Help a blind person cross the road or cross the street. I personally will. Second, donate blood to a blood bank. Participate in a cleaning campaign in the neighborhood. Search for the owner of a lost mobile that you have found. I would do it, of course. Give a little money to a beggar on the street, and you know how many of them are now on the streets. Now we pass to the questions for which you have to give minus 1 point. Avoid pay fares on public transport. You go take the bus and you don't pay, for example. Next is dropping litter in the street. Something to avoid, of course. Cheating in exams, which is highly not recommended, especially for you. Driving without a driver's license. Don't do that, please. Lying to your parents or to your teachers. I hope you never do that, of course. Okay, you count your total and you must have a positive 1. We pass to matching sentence parts in order to get full quotes. The quotes, let me tell you something, the quotes are very useful for you when you write your essays. Try to fall in love with some of them, and whenever you find the possibility to quote, to put a quote, to write a quote in your essays, don't hesitate. We start with the first one. Cowards die many times before their deaths. This is the great William Shakespeare, of course. Cowards die many times before their deaths. The valiant never taste of death but once. You know the rest. If you can't change your situation, okay, it's a sentence which starts with if. There is a condition, so we need the result of the condition. What happens? If you can't change your situation, then try to change your attitude. Again, William Shakespeare, love all. We need another verb which is in the imperative form. Trust a few, do wrong to none. William Shakespeare. Try not to be a man of success. So, if not a man of success, a man of what? But rather, try to become a man of value. Albert Einstein said that. It doesn't mean that success is something bad, but success, without value, success by cheating is not real success. We must learn to live together. As what? Who usually live together in the same house or the same household? Of course, it is brothers. We must learn to live together as brothers or perish, die together as fools. Martin Luther King Jr., the American activist in the 1960s. Keep your values positive, because we need to explain why we have to keep our values positive, because your values become your destiny. Your destiny, you remember from the beginning of the year, the destiny is what happens to you in your life that you cannot control first and that you cannot change. So catch positive values. You are personally responsible. All right, we need a word which collocates with responsible, always for. You are personally responsible for becoming more ethical than the society you live in. Never say, everybody is doing so I will do the same. Try to change, and society will change. We finish. Without a moral compass, the human mind will justify anything. You may be wondering what a moral compass is. Well, a compass, as you know, is a gadget which shows you directions: north, south, east, west. A moral compass, on the other hand, shows you what's good and what's bad. Without a moral compass, the human mind will justify anything. Well, we move on to reading some very short inspirational stories and saying which value each one illustrates or what the moral of the story is. Story number one. It was an incredibly hot day and the lion was feeling very hungry. He crawled out of his den and searched here and there, but he could only find a small hare, like the one in the picture. A small hare. He caught the hare, but with some hesitation, as he knew the hare wouldn't fill him up. As the lion was about to kill the hare, he spotted a deer. A deer is an animal like the gazelle, with corns, of course. He spotted a deer coming his way and thought, instead of eating this small hare, let me eat that big deer. So he let the hare go and went after the deer. But it vanished in the forest. The lion now had nothing to eat, as the hare was also long gone. What does this story teach us? Well, it teaches us exactly what is said in the English proverb, which goes, "A bird in the hand is worth two in the bush." And it tells us that greed, wanting more, never being full, never being content with what we have, greed is never a good thing to do. Second story is about another lion. A lion was once sleeping in the jungle when a mouse started running up and down his body just for fun. This disturbed the lion's sleep, and he woke up quite angry. He was about to eat the mouse when the mouse desperately requested the lion to set him free. "I promise you, I will be of great help to you someday if you spare my life, if you don't kill me." The lion laughed at the mouse's confidence and let him go. One day, a few hunters came into the forest and took the lion with them. They tied him up against a tree. The lion was struggling to get free and started to roar. Soon, the mouse walked past and noticed the lion in trouble. Quickly, he ran and gnawed the ropes with his small teeth, and gnawed the ropes to set the lion free. Both of them sped off into the jungle. What do we learn from this short story? It teaches us very simply that a small act of kindness you do today can go a long way. It can return to you sometime after. Story number 3. One night, 4 college students, university students, 4 college students stayed up late partying, like in the picture, even though they knew they had a test the next day. The next morning, they came up with a plan to get out of having to take the test. Each student rolled around in dirt and then went to the teacher's office. They told the teacher that they had gotten a flat tire the night before, and they spent the entire night pushing their car back to campus. The teacher listened, and to the students' delight, happiness, he offered a retest 3 days later. On the day of the test, the students went to their teacher's office. The teacher put all 4 of the students in separate rooms to take the test. Everything was fine until they saw the exam, which had only 2 questions with a total of 100 points. Question number 1 was your name, out of 1 point. Question number 2, which tire burst or exploded, out of 99 points. And he gave them the following options: front left, front right, back left, back right. You can imagine, you can guess that they will never give the same answer. What do we learn from this short story? Always, whatever the circumstances are, tell the truth, never lie. Take responsibility for your acts. And above all, however smart, however intelligent you think you are, there is someone else smarter than you. The case of the teacher in the story. Number 4, after 21 years of marriage, my wife wanted me to take another woman out to dinner and a movie, the cinema. She said, "I love you, but I know this other woman loves you and would love to spend some time with you." Don't let your imagination go far. The other woman that my wife wanted me to visit was simply my mom, my mother. What do we learn from this story? It's a story about sharing, The wife did not keep her husband for herself. She shared her with the other woman who loves him, his mom. Gratitude also, saying thanks, expressing gratitude or thankfulness. She's thankful to her mom-in-law for the nice husband she gave her. The last picture and the last story. There was a blind girl who hated herself just because she was blind. She hated everyone except her loving boyfriend. He was always there for her. She said that if she could only see the world, she would marry her boyfriend. One day, someone donated a pair of eyes to her, and then she could see everything, including her boyfriend. Her boyfriend asked her, "Now that you can see the world, will you marry me?" The girl was shocked when she saw that her boyfriend was blind too and refused to marry him. Her boyfriend walked away in tears and later wrote a letter to her saying, "Just take care of my eyes, dear." So it's obvious who donated the pair of eyes to her. What do we learn from this story? Avoid lying. It's a vice. She lied to him. Avoid reneging on promises. If you make a promise, you have to keep it. Avoid being selfish. Now, when we talk about positive or negative attitudes of people, we usually compare them to animals. This is true in many languages. We are going to match each cartoon with the right simile. Simile is a comparison between two incomparable things with a word of comparison, with like or so on. As brave as a lion, brave, courageous. Look at that lion, how brave he is. Number one. When someone is very angry, we compare them to a raged bull, an angry bull. We say he is or she is as angry as a raged bull in the corrida, for example. So, as angry as a raged bull. As proud as a peacock. Look at that peacock, how proud he is of his beautiful feathers. Right. As innocent or as gentle as a lamb. Lamb is a baby or a little sheep. Look how gentle, how cute, how sweet they are. As innocent or as gentle as a lamb. As wise as an owl. The owl is that bird we can see and hear only or mainly in the night. Next simile. As busy as a bee. Like you, I suppose, these days preparing for your baccalaureate exams. You are as busy as a bee. As free as a bird. Look at the birds. They are in the sky. All the sky belongs to them. As greedy as a pig. Look how much food he has, and he's wanting even more and more. That's greed. As patient as an ox. So look at the two oxen in the picture. They are suffering over there, but they are still very patient. So when someone is very patient, we compare them to an ox, as patient as an ox. As cunning as a fox. Deceitful. And you remember the story that happened between the fox and the crow, and how he fooled him into dropping his piece of cheese and ate it instead of him, as cunning as a fox. Circle the right option. Virtue, by definition, never say in definition or for definition or of definition. Virtue, by definition, is the moral excellence of a person. We don't choose, we look for a clue. The word after our word is an adjective, excellent, so the word before has to be an adverb. Morally excellent person, adverb plus adjective plus noun. A morally excellent person is honest, respectful, courageous, forgiving, and kind. Another clue for you when you work on multiple choice questions is proceeding by elimination. You look at the three choices and you say, this one never fits in here. Now, which one never fits with two, never collocates with two? We can say thanks to, we can say due to, but never in spite to. Say in spite of course. Now, thanks to, because we are talking about virtues, something positive, so it is thanks to virtues, he or she is committed to doing the right thing no matter what the personal cost is, and acts according to, it collocates, according to values and principles. It is recommended that virtues be cultivated, be taken care of, be cultivated to become more prevalent, adjective, plus after or and after and we need another word of the same genre, same type, same tense, prevalent, adjective, or habitual, of course. Now, let's focus on the last sentence. We are going to study it. It is recommended that virtues be cultivated to become more prevalent or habitual. It starts with the expression, it is recommended that, and then look at the verb that comes after, be. It's not is in the present. That is the subjunctive form. The subjunctive is a subject plus a verb in the bare infinitive. The infinitive without to. You just remove to and you will find your subjunctive. When to use the subjunctive and what's its form? The subjunctive is used in formal language, in formal English, to emphasize urgency of the action or importance of the action to be done. We use the simple form of the verb, the bare infinitive, the infinitive without to, with all the subjects, singular or plural. Which verbs are followed by the subjunctive? Verbs like demand, that. Notice that that can be used or can be deleted. Insist, urge, command, recommend, suggest, propose or propose that, request, and ask. Now, expressions that are always followed by the subjunctive, expressions like it is crucial that, it is desirable that or without that, necessary, it is imperative, it is important or best, it is urgent, it is vital or vital that, and it is desirable. Let's practice. I forgot, sorry, to tell you that in informal English, we said we use the subjunctive. In formal English, okay? In informal English, we usually replace the subjunctive with the should. You should do this or do that. Should plus the base form, of course, the infinitive without to. Okay. Expressed differently using the subjunctive. Telling the truth is a must. We can say it is imperative that he tell, not tells in the simple present. It is imperative that he tell the truth. A father talking to his son says, "Son, you should knock." You see, it is spoken English. It is, we use should. "Son, you should knock on closed doors before entering." To make it more formal, we can say, his dad recommended that he knock, not knocks, that he knock on closed doors before entering. Treating the elderly with due respect is not a choice. It is vital that she treat the elderly with due respect. You have to be courteous, to be polite, another word for polite. My parents insist that I be, not I am, that I be courteous. That is the subjunctive form. You should keep your self-esteem high. To make it more formal, we can say it's desirable that you keep your self-esteem high. We finish with writing. Being concerned about the decline in moral behavior, you decided to write about the issue for your school magazine. Study the chart below and write a report about the causes of moral decline. Well, we are going to work on, this is the type of task you can have in writing. It's the guided writing, task number 1 in writing. Tips for doing it successfully. First, you have to start by mentioning the type of document, chart, pie chart, table, and its source, if you are provided with the source. Then you mention the topic, what it is about. Never forget to use all the details, all the prompts, all the percentages, for example, given to you, all the numbers. Never miss one, otherwise you will pay it cash. Not cash money, cash marks, of course. Use all the prompts and finish with drawing a conclusion or suggesting a solution or something personal, okay? It's a pie chart about the causes of moral decline. Pie chart has got the form of a pie, like a cake, with many pieces. Each piece represents a percentage. Number 1 is the role of parents. There is a lack of parental guidance to their children, so morality declines in youth. You see the percentage, 27 point something. Peer pressure, okay? Doing like other persons, other young people of the same age. Peer pressure, being influenced by peers who have no moral compass. Remember the moral compass showing you what's good and what's bad? Number 3, the globalization and the obsession with modern technology, social media, and you know how much violence there is on social media, the games that our youth are playing, etc. Then the laws of moral standards are not implemented seriously in society. Other causes are the excessively materialistic lifestyle and the narrow focus of moral education in our schools. We have the different percentages. Useful expressions to use when you are studying and writing about a chart or a table. It indicates, it shows, it reveals, it demonstrates, it illustrates that or without that. It's crystal clear that according to the information in the chart, roughly 20% of this or that, if we look through the pie chart or the table or the chart, we notice that, we conclude that with reference to the pie chart, something and something represent 50% of collectively. This is one way when you are provided with a lot of details and prompts. One way is to group them together in pairs, in 3 of them, etc. So a useful word is collectively, means together. Another crucial factor that is both are or both represent 20 and 30% respectively. This is when you mention one percentage or one number after the other, say respectively. It represents, it makes half, makes a third, it is twice, it is 2/3 of, etc. Comparing and contrasting, you can use similarly the highest, the lowest percentage. If we compare X and Y, something affects or impacts more than something else. Something seems to be more influential than someone or something else. Don't forget to link the details that you are mentioning, please. You need linkers to begin with. Besides, furthermore, in addition, overall, to sum up, in conclusion, in the end, I have written a sample paragraph for you, but never please copy it in your exams. It's just to show you how to write about a pie chart. Nowadays, morality in society has hit bottom. This pie chart extracted from www.lifewayresearch.com shows crystal clearly that moral decline has innumerable causes, a lot of causes. As a matter of fact, the lack of parental guidance and peer pressure top the table as they account for half the responsibility, with 27.70% and 22.30% respectively, one after the other. Besides, obsession with technology and social media comes next, second reason, with 21.90%. Laws of moral standards which are not implemented have a share of 16.20%, and the remaining 11.90% is due to the excessively materialistic lifestyle and the narrow focus on moral education in schools. As I told you, your concluding sentence can be something personal. You express your opinion or you suggest a solution, something like that. To my mind, adopting virtuous values and attitudes remains our only salvation. Well, that was all for today's lesson. Thank you very much for following it. I hope it was beneficial. See you again for a new one.